Yeah. Yeah. Brain trust. Yeah.
Everyone come on in, take your seats. We're going to start in about 30 seconds.
Questions. I've signed up.
As you may have guessed, some minor technical difficulties. We'll be with you very soon.
You can get lost in this high school. I've been lost in this high school. It can all look the same after.
Chair Van Nostrand and Commissioner Frazier, can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Chair Van Nostrand or Commissioner Frazier, could you just give us a sound check?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
And Chair, you as well?
Yes, I said good evening. Can you hear me?
Chair and Commissioner, please give it another sound check. We're trying to get your volume right.
Hi, Andy. This is Chair Van Ostrand. Can you hear me?
Extremely loudly, yes.
Sorry, I'll whisper next time.
And Commissioner Frazier, is you as well?
Hi, Andy.
Yeah, you're good. Okay. Well modulated. Thank you.
All right. Good evening. We will now go on the record in DPU 2448. Good evening. My name is Connor Tarr. I am the hearing officer in this proceeding, and I am conducting the public comment hearing tonight. I'd like to welcome everyone to this hybrid public comment hearing conducted by the Department of Public Utilities in docket DPU 2448, known as the Park City Wind Zoning Petition, which I will refer to as the zoning petition. Before we start, I want to explain how to use Zoom tonight to ensure that everyone can fully participate in this hybrid public comment hearing. For audio-only participation, attendees can dial in at 646-558-8656. This is not a toll-free number. And then enter the webinar ID 840-2714-6809. Whether you are here in the auditorium or on Zoom, our hybrid setup for the hearing should allow you to see and hear everything said tonight. With me from the Department of Public Utilities are others who will be involved in the review of the Park City Wind zoning petition. First is Andrew Green, the Director of the Siting Division. Joan Foster Evans, Assistant General Counsel to the Siting Division. Wayne Wong, Assistant Director of the Siting Division. And Caleb Chang, Siting Specialist with the Siting Division. Also joining us via hybrid connection is James Van Nostrand, Chair of the Department of Public Utilities, and D.P.U. Commissioner Cecile Frazier, who can be seen on the screen to my left. We are here tonight because Park City Wind, which I will refer to as the company, is petitioning the department for individual and comprehensive zoning exemptions from the operation of the zoning ordinance of the town of Barnstable, Massachusetts. The purpose of the zoning exemptions is for the construction and operation of an access road on an approximately 1 acre parcel at 6 Shoot Flying Hill Road in the town of Barnstable, known as the parcel, to provide access to Park City Wind substation to be located at 8 Shooting Fly Hill Road, referred to as the substation. As many of you may know, the Energy Facilities Siting Board, referred to as the Siting Board, previously approved the construction and operation of the substation as part of Park City Wind's New England Wind 1 connector project, which was a decision issued in EFSB 2001 DPU 2050/2057 on December 15th, 2023. Just to be clear, we will not be making any decisions in this proceeding related to the Park City Wind project that was approved by the Siting Board in its December 2023 final decision. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to listen to comments about the zoning exemptions requested for the 1 acre Shooting Fly Hill Road parcel and not, Shoot Flying Hill Road. My apologies. I get twisted every time I say it. 6 Shoot Flying Hill Road parcel and not other components of the Park City Wind project that were previously approved by the Energy Facilities Siting Board. Park City Wind will make a presentation tonight regarding its proposed zoning petition and respond to questions regarding its petition. We have copies of the public notice on the table in the lobby that the department directed the company to provide to residents and owners of the property near the parcel subject to the zoning petition. These notices include maps of the parcel subject to the zoning petition. Finally, information on the zoning petition is posted to the department website, and you can find that link on the notice as well. If you are participating remotely using Zoom, you will still have a full opportunity to see and hear everything said during this hearing and to offer comment and ask questions. For those of you accessing the meeting by phone dial-in, you too can hear everything and have an opportunity to comment or ask questions. The instructions on how to participate were provided in the public comment hearing notice provided in the newspapers, in the notices sent to residents, posted on the company and department websites, and posted at the city clerk's office and library for the town of Barnstable. Since this is a hybrid public comment hearing, we could experience some technical difficulties as displayed at the beginning of this hearing, such as potential background noise, video, and audio issues, and potential delays. Whether you are here in the auditorium or on Zoom, it is imperative to speak slowly and clearly and allow a speaker to finish speaking before you begin speaking. I will raise my hand as a signal if I need to interrupt the person currently speaking to ask them to stop. We have a stenographer present who will transcribe tonight's public comment hearing. We will be video recording this public comment hearing, and that recording will be posted on the department's YouTube channel listed in the notice. All comments offered at this hearing will be recorded both in the official written transcript and on the YouTube video of this hearing. I will additionally note that the transcript is the official copy of tonight's hearing and would be part of any future proceeding going forward. Additionally, note that if you would like to see closed captions on Zoom, press the button at the bottom of the screen that says Show Captions. You can also have the captions translated into a number of different languages, and you can select that option if you wish. There are different ways in which you can participate in this proceeding, either as a full intervener with rights to ask discovery questions of the company, present witnesses, ask questions of witnesses testifying at the hearings, file briefs and motions, and appeal the order of the department, or as an interested party who can receive filings made in this proceeding and file briefs to the department. As mentioned in the notice of this public comment hearing, the deadline to file any requests for participation as an intervener or an interested person is Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024. This date is also the deadline to provide written comments to the department as described in the notice of the public comment hearing. The link to the department website and the department webpage for this zoning petition is provided in the written notice. If you have any questions related to these materials, please email me, Connor Citar, at mass.gov. That's CONNOR period C period TARR at mass.gov. This public comment hearing will begin with a presentation by the company. Park City Wind has counsel and company representatives who are participating in this public comment hearing. May I have appearances of counsel, please?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Aaron Lang of Foley Hoag. I'm here on behalf of Park City Wind LLC, the petitioner.
Thank you. And I would note that the company has provided a certification that the notice for this public comment hearing has been provided consistent with the terms required by the department. Would the company like to begin with its presentation regarding the zoning petition? After that presentation, we will open the floor for comments and questions from the public. I'll turn it over to you,
Thank you, Hearing Officer Tar. Good evening, everyone. My name is Pat Johnson, for the record, Director of Public Affairs for Avangrid, part of the New England Wind One, also known as the Park City Wind project team. I'd like to just first off thank you to Hearing Officer Tar, the D.P.U staff, Commissioner Chair Van Nostrand, and also Commissioner Frazier for being here this evening, as well as Representative Exaros, and there are several members of the Barnstable Town Council here tonight as well. So if you can, Andy, the presentation, if you'd be able to share that on the screen, that would be very helpful. Thank you so much. So just to start, we're here for a limited purpose with this filing, but I just want to say at the outstart of this conversation, if anybody else here or watching on Zoom has any other questions on other areas of the Park City Wind project that you'd like to talk to us about, I'm going to be here after the meeting concludes to take those questions. You can also please reach out to me by email, phone. I'm also available for in-person meetings. If anybody has other questions about other topics than this zoning relief petition that we're here talking about tonight. So I'd just like to introduce my colleagues who are here with me. So again, Pat Johnson, you heard from Aaron Lang, our counsel from Foley Hoag, who's here. Close to me here in the front is Ken Fitzgerald, who's a principal with Stantec. There are engineers, so if you have questions about the engineering of this access roadway and other relevant questions, he'll take those. And then Jack Vaccaro from Epsilon is also here. They're our environmental consultant on this project. So if you have questions more in that direction of any environmental reviews done as part of this filing, Jack will take those questions. We also have my colleague Aaron Harisi, our permitting manager, is on Zoom, and a couple other folks who are also on Zoom. Andy, this isn't, let's see. Yeah. Do you want to just do it on your end? Okay. Thank you very much. So just a few notes on the purpose of this public hearing, much of which the hearing officer already covered. This zoning petition is submitted seeking zoning exemptions for the 6 Shoot Flying Hill Road parcel. Just for the public's edification, Park City Wind does own that parcel. We executed within the last year an agreement to purchase that property. The zoning exemptions would be for the construction and operation of an access road, which would connect to the substation at 8 Shoot Flying Hill Road, which, as the hearing officer indicated, was already separately approved this past December by the state's Energy Facilities Siting Board. This filing here was the previously approved piece was a subject of extensive review. And this parcel at 6 Shoot Flying Hill Road was included in that review. And it was included in every filing that we made to the MEPA office and the other permits for this project. The reason we're here tonight is that we added this parcel shortly after the initial filing was made, now many years ago. And it was the determination of the Energy Facilities Siting Board in their decision back in December that because the 6 Shoot Flying Hill Road parcel was not part of that original proposal back at the very beginning, I believe in 2019, that a subsequent public hearing would be needed in separate process with the Department of Public Utilities to provide the comprehensive zoning exemption that we have for the 8 Shoot Flying Hill parcel. So that's really the reason we're here with such a limited in scope proceeding. And the use of 6 Shoot Flying Hill Road and all associated impacts were part of the thorough MEPA review process, which is concluded for the Park City Wind project. Next slide, please. Yep. Okay. Great. So here's an aerial of the parcel. So I'll start in the left part of this image that you see on the screen. So in pink is the 1 acre parcel, 6 Chute Flying Hill Road that we're here discussing. As you can see, what's currently depicted in aerial view of the Knights Inn Motel, that would be 8 Chute Flying Hill Road. So 8 Chute Flying Hill Road already in the relevance to this Park City Wind project separately and already approved. We're just here talking about the parcel in pink. And the only thing that would be put in place on that parcel would be an access roadway and a gate facing Chute Flying Hill Road. So no substation components or other electrical components would be placed on 6 Chute Flying Hill Road. And just a little bit more about it. It's currently a wooded parcel. It's been thoroughly reviewed that it has no wetland resource areas on the site and no mapped rare species habitat on the site. A number of other additional important elements on this slide, which I'll go through slowly, especially for the stenographer and for everyone here in the audience and on Zoom. So in the image, we'll start there. Shaded in purple is a aerial outline of the outlay of the substation components, and that's on 8 Chute Flying Hill Road in its entirety, previously approved by the Energy Facilities Siting Board. Now in orange, we see the relevant parcel here tonight, 6 Chute Flying Hill Road. So what we see depicted on that image in the orange parcel is a roadway through that parcel with a gate facing Chute Flying Hill Road. So that's the only elements that are actually on that parcel. So big question obviously is what's the purpose of this parcel? What's its importance to the overall project? So by utilizing this parcel, and the reason why we updated our plans a number of years ago to add it is because using this parcel to create the access road provides a number of advantages. First, it improves access from Chute Flying Hill Road to the substation site, not only in the construction phase, but also during the long-term operations of the site. So it provides a really important short and long-term access ability for construction vehicles and other utility truck vehicles, short and long term. It has a wider turning radius, which is important for some of the larger vehicles we'll need during construction. And also benefits, as we see it, is this entrance would be farther from residents west of the substation site that you see in purple. This site also significantly reduces the necessary site elevations for the substation site. So what do I mean by that? By utilizing this parcel in orange, 6 Chute Flying Hill Road for access, it allows us to lower the grade of the entire substation site. Basically, it'll be lower in the ground, and we will remove some soil and fill from the site to accomplish that lowering of the substation components. That has very important benefits for reducing visual impacts, both from looking from Chute Flying Hill Road, looking from the Cape Cod Chamber offices across the street, or looking across Route 6 from the Exit 6 Burger King Plaza. By lowering the grade of the entire substation site, those visual impacts are lessened, and that's a benefit that using this parcel helps make happen. It also helps reduce truck traffic during construction because of utilizing this parcel to remove fill. We anticipate the amount of truck construction during construction basically being cut in half versus utilizing only the 8 Chute Flying Hill parcel for the substation and access. Again, the site will not host any substation equipment or cables. It has a very limited purpose and use. And construction activities at 6 Chute Flying Hill Road are limited to the clearing for the roadway, grading, drainage, and building of the access road. And finally, the design of the substation access road will allow for construction of a future bike path along Chute Flying Hill Road, which the town of Barnstable and I believe the Mass Department of Transportation have indicated is a potential pathway for the further westward expansion of the Cape Cod Rail Trail as part of a state effort to unite the entire Cape Cod Rail Trail, bike trail across the Cape. So I will conclude there and turn it back to you, Hearing Officer Tar.
Thank you very. Next, we will proceed with public comments regarding the zoning petition. We begin with federal, state, and local officials, appointed as well as elected officials who wish to be heard. Then we will proceed with the members of the public who have signed up to speak in the order in which they have signed up. Finally, we will allow anyone who wishes to speak but did not have a chance to let us know in advance. When called to speak, if you are participating remotely, we will move you into the Zoom panel so that you can be seen and heard by the Zoom audience as well as those here in the auditorium. Please give your name and address, spell your name, and speak slowly and clearly. Again, please stop speaking if you see me raise my hand. If a company response to a comment or question is appropriate, I will ask the company to respond. Okay, we are now ready to hear comments. Please identify yourself, giving your name and the office that you hold for the record.
Question for you, sir. You asked the proponent to list the variances that they're going for? There's just a short, just item, line by line item, just.
So because you're not on the, I don't know if our stenographer is able to hear you right now. I would request that that be made as part of your public comment so that we can get it on the record. You want to do it now? Yeah. Okay. All right. Change of pace. We are going to ask the company to identify the zoning variances before we begin with the public comments and opening it up to public officials. So I'm going to turn it back over to the company. Could you please list off the variances that you are specifically requesting? And,
No, it's not.
oh,
How about now?
Yes.
I can stand too, but I'm going to bring my binder over here because I have them available with me. So again, my name is Aaron Lang. I'm outside counsel for the project proponent, our partner at Foley Hoag. The list of zoning ordinances, the zoning exemptions that are being requested can be found on page 4 of the company's zoning petition. And they can also be found on page starting on page 17. Page 4 offers the list. So I'll just read right from the zoning petition. These are use restrictions in sections 240.13, 240.14, 240.7.a, 240.35.2, 3, and 4. Minimum yard dimension restrictions in sections 240.13 and 240.14. Signage prohibitions in Article 7, sections 240.61D and 240.63. Certain anti-nuisance provisions in section 240.10.a. Site plan review requirements in Article 9, sections 240.98 through 240.105. Performance bond requirements in section 240.124A. The occupancy permit provisions in section 240-124.b. And off-street parking provisions in Article 6, sections 240-48 through 240-58. Those are the individual exemptions that are being requested. The company is also requesting a comprehensive zoning exemption for this parcel. And the only thing I'd like to add is that these are the same or very similar to the zoning exemptions that were approved and granted by the siting board in EFSB 20-1 for the New England Wind 1 connector project. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you to come up to the podium if you're going to speak. We want to make sure that everyone can hear, including our participants on Zoom.
Can you hear me now? My name is Cliff Carroll, West Barnstable. Carroll. At this moment, I just wanted a little more clarity. He said variance nuisances variance. If he could maybe identify what those nuisances are. I believe it contains things like lighting, noise, but it just said nuisance. Thank you.
And I'll ask the company to respond.
Thank you. For a more comprehensive explanation of every one of the individual zoning provisions that I listed, the zoning petition starting on page 17, there's a graph that's provided there that does set out for each of the provisions, the basis for why they're being requested. You asked specifically about the anti-nuisance provisions. This is section 240-10.a. So on page 19 of the zoning petition, it's asking for a use variance, any use that is injurious, noxious, or offensive by reason of odor, fumes, dust, smoke, vibration, noise, lighting, or other cause is prohibited. In being utilized for an access road, the parcel may generate sound, light, or vibration that subjectively may be deemed injurious, noxious, or offensive. Thus, a variance may be required, or would or may be required. The legal standard for obtaining a variance is difficult to meet. Variances are a disfavored form of relief, and even if granted, subject to appeal. And the EFSB approval provided or granted this an exemption for this individual provision at pages 180, 184 to 185, 192, and 207 is where that was discussed specifically for the New England Wind One connector.
All right. We are going to proceed forward with the public comments in the order that they were originally intended, now that we have some additional background and some specifics as to the discussion for this evening. So I'm going to ask that first we're going to open it up to official comment. So we're going to ask that you please identify yourself, giving your name and the office that you hold for the record. Do we have any federal officials present or on Zoom that wish to comment? Please raise your hand. Are there any local officials, or sorry, are there any state officials present or on Zoom that wish to comment? Please raise your hand. All right, so I think you're the only one in the auditorium. Can you please step up and again, state your name and your office and spell your last name for the record.
Good evening. Welcome to the town of Barnstable. My name is Stephen Exaros, Xiarhos. I am a Massachusetts state representative for the 5th Barnstable District, which is parts of Barnstable, all of Sandwich, and parts of Bourne. I am here to listen to your presentation, and I'd like to reserve my rights to ask questions, and I will submit written testimony. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other state officials that are present here that would like to make a comment? Please provide your name and office.
State Representative Kip Diggs from the 2nd Barnstable District. I Katuitt, Centerville, Osterville, Barnstable Village, and Hyannis as my district, at least for the town of Barnstable. I don't have anything to say. I just want to listen, and I will also have written testimony if I want to do so. Thank you. Diggs, D-I-G-G-S. Kip is my first name, K-I-P.
Thank you, Representative Diggs.
You're welcome.
Are there any local officials present or on Zoom that wish to comment? Please raise your hand. All right. There are multiple here in the auditorium. Are there any on? All right, so we're just going to go in order in front of me. So I'm going to open it up to you, sir. Again, please state your name and your office.
Thank you. My name is Gordon Starr, S-T-A-R-R. I'm a town councilor, precinct 1. So one of my first questions is why did this not go through the town zoning board of appeals? I don't know, maybe it's a process question.
I'm going to refer to the company. Can you just explain the basis for the request?
Certainly. Thank you, Counselor. So it's common practice for an energy project like this, to pursue a comprehensive zoning exemption from local zoning. That's what we did in the EFSB filing. That's what we're doing here. And the town council and the host community agreement with Park City Wind agreed, and I would say the town in the host community agreement with Park City Wind that was signed in May of 2022 agreed to support zoning exemptions filed by the project before the State Energy Facilities Siting Board.
Okay, thank you. So this, one other question, Pat, before you say, is, so this, you're gonna put a road in, I assume it's maybe 40 feet wide?
I'm going to ask Ken Fitzgerald, 20 feet wide, so it'd be
Okay.
20 feet wide.
Are you gonna clear the rest of this lot for parking, for construction work? No, okay.
No, as you saw in the image,
stay
it's
with it?
just the roadway. We won't clear the rest of the parcel.
And the site itself, which I know isn't part of this, but it will be lower, 10 feet lower than what had previously been planned?
I'm going to ask Ken Fitzgerald here to answer that question, who can answer.
Mr. Fitzgerald, just make sure you identify yourself and say your name for the record.
My name is Ken. I'm with Stantec Consulting, Senior Principal. Yes, sir.
So the question is the site where the transformer station is now going to be 10 feet lower?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So as from the street, as you go back, it will be down?
That's correct. The substation site would be dropped 10 feet from where it originally was. And that allowed us to have the sole access, the primary access to the substation be through the 6-chute Flying Hill Road parcel.
Now, is that because now the 6-chute Flying Hill parcel goes down? You know, you have.
Correct. There's
yeah.
a natural
There's a
grade
natural grade
that
there, yeah.
lends itself to that. But of course, there will be some topography changes to allow a road of a proper
Yep.
slope to enter the substate.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just going to ask for one additional clarification from the company. The 10 feet lower is lower than
Present grade.
if this zoning exemption was not granted.
That is correct.
Thank you.
There were additional local officials that were present here in the auditorium. I'm gonna, right next to the sign, I'm gonna have you come on down. Again, please state your office and your name for the record.
Yep. Kristen Torkelson, Kristin. All E's in my last name, TERKELSEN. Precinct 2, Town of Barnstable Counselor. 30 Judith Eve Lane, Centerville. And just some operational questions, kind of going along with what Gordon was saying. If we were not to have this road, there's no depiction on here about how the access would be without this variance. Do we have any images that would show us how this site would be accessed otherwise?
I'll refer to the company for comment.
Thank you so much, Officer Tar. I'll turn it over to Ken Fitzgerald, Counselor, to answer that question. I would say that we may have had original images for that many years ago when that was the initial design, but I don't know if Ken, if you could give any, if you have information on that, you could share. Okay.
One of our last slides, if we could please share that again. We don't have a good rendering, but I could at least show you where it was.
Thank you.
One moment to technical.
Great, thank you. Okay, so the primary access. Oh, thank you. It was right here at the northwest corner of the substation. So before the 6-chute Flying Hill property came into existence in the design, the access point was right here on that very northwest corner of the parcel on 8-chute Flying Hill Road.
So as a result of this access road, did having this access road allow this substation to be made larger? Because, I mean, in looking at how small that road would have been, would you have had to scale back your substation or resite the substation at a different location if you did not have 6-chute Flying Hill Road?
No, the equipment locations within the 8-chute Flying Hill parcel did not change. In fact, none of the design features changed in terms of where components or the buildings that we have were located. The only thing that changed was their elevation. They just dropped 10 feet from where they were north, south, east, west.
And I thought I read somewhere that it's going to allow less sand to be moved. So if we're lowering it down, I guess I'm still not understanding how having this road allows it to be lower. It sounds like you're going to be taking dirt away, and there was something about bringing sand in. So I'm just having trouble understanding how this access road impacts that process. Could you
Sure.
explain
No,
that?
that's a very fair question. In the original design, before we had 6-chute Flying Hill Road, we had a very large volume of fill material that needed to be brought in to basically fill the site so that it would be a relatively flat elevation, almost equal in elevation to the existing 6-chute Flying Hill Road itself. If you're familiar with the property, it naturally slopes to the south. In fact, it seems like there might have been some excavations there over time, and there's a lot of big gullies. So a very substantial amount of fill material would have needed to have been brought in to fill those gullies and levelize the site to bring it up to a useful elevation. By us being allowed to hopefully use the 6-chute Flying Hill Road property, we were able to lower the site. And instead of having a deficit of fill material to get a nice flat uniform site, we have a surplus of material. And so some of that material needs to be trucked off site. And it's about half. If we look at the old design versus the new design, we're bringing in we are exporting about half as much material as we would have had to have needed to import on that first design.
And on this access road, looking at the angle and some of the safety concerns I would have as a person who uses that exit to get to my home when I'm coming off the highway. And, you know, this is a sometimes dangerous road on a good day. How will you anticipate that trucks will be exiting your site with the angle being that it is, will trucks be able to exit to the left, or will they be limited and only accessing to the right when they exit the site?
It depends on the size of the truck. The intention would be to try to allow for both, but certainly depending on the size of the truck, that would be coordinated. And certainly, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to rush you. And as far as damage to the road that's going to happen potentially from all of these trucks coming in and coming out, taking massive amounts of sand out and the weight on the road, what is the responsibility of Avangrid if that road is to degrade over time?
Thank you very much, Counselor. So Pat Johnson on behalf of the proponent. So under the host community agreement we have with the town of Barnstable, we're responsible for full road restoration on the entire Park City Wind route. That would include 6-chute Flying Hill Road. I'm not 100% certain of where the town of Barnstable plans to end the Centerville Village North sewer expansion project, at what point on 6-chute Flying Hill Road. But certainly if it were to go, if there were to be any damage from our construction activities up to essentially the Cape Cod Chamber, Patty Page Way entrance there, certainly that's something that we would take responsibility for.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any additional local officials present here in the auditorium who would like to comment? Yeah, you can come back on. Again, just identify your office and last name.
Thank you, sir. Stephen Exaro, State Representative, 5th Barnstable District. Just to clarify one of the answers so far, did you say that the zoning board has already approved this? Could you clarify?
Thank you so much, Representative. So the State Energy Facilities Siting Board, which is a component of the State Department of Public Utilities, had a multi-year review of the overall Park City Wind project, which includes out to 3 miles south of the town of Barnstable off Craigville Beach within the town's waters. Craigville Beach, all the work proposed on the roadways in Centerville and going all the way up to Shoot Flying Hill Road at this site. And the grid interconnection where the power from this substation will then traverse over to the Eversource West Barnstable substation just east of Oak Street. So that entire project, the State Energy Facilities Siting Board reviewed, I believe, from approximately 2019 or 2020 until they approved it in full in December of 2023. The only thing they really was left out was they did not grant the project a comprehensive zoning override that we had requested for the 6 Shoot Flying Hill Road parcel, because that parcel was added to the project's design with the Energy Facility Siting Board after we had made our original filing, which I believe was actually in 2020, not 2019. So hopefully that answers your question.
So does it still have to go to the local zoning board at some point?
No, the Energy Facility Siting Board state statute supersedes local zoning, and the Energy Facility Siting Board voted in December of 2023 to give us that zoning override so that we do not need to go to the ZBA or other local zoning bodies of the town of Barnstable.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will now turn it over to any additional local officials who are present on Zoom. If you would like to make a comment, you will need to be promoted to the panel. Please accept the invitation if you would like to comment. If not, we will move forward. So I'll give an opportunity for that to happen, and then we'll move forward after that.
So what do we do now? I went ahead and scheduled an appointment online at safelight.com. Told them to meet us here at the beach. Let's get started. Oh, Safelite Repair. Safelite Replay. Yeah, schedule free local service at safelight.com.
Mr. Nelson, I'm going to open the commenting up to you. Please identify yourself and your official. If there's any way to reduce some of the background noise, please do so.
Good evening. My name is Douglas Nelson. I'm a resident of South Dennis, Mass. Also, I'm a proud member of IBW Local 223. I represent them as a business manager, financial secretary. So my involvement with Avangrid on this project. Also I've been involved with the offshore wind for Vineyard 1. With that being said, I've always found Avangrid as a advocate for everybody in the community to work in a positive manner. Under the circumstances, knowing that area as well, I look forward to having them be accepted under the variance to be able to utilize the parcel 6 as well. So at this point in time, I would hope that their variance would be accepted.
Mr. Nelson, you are cutting out briefly. Could you repeat at least the last paragraph?
So I would at this point, I would just
Thank you. Is there any additional comment that you'd like to provide tonight?
like I said, I'm a resident, but also been very, very much involved in the offshore wind industry coming through, and as a developer, Avangrid being a developer and working closely with Vineyard Wind as well, and the people from Avangrid, always a positive situation and very forthcoming with what their plans are and working together with the community. I would just be an advocate as well.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. I believe that concludes all of our state, local, and federal officials that wished to comment here tonight. We're going to proceed forward. Next, we will take comments from the general public, beginning with those who have pre-registered with the D.P.U. When called, please give your name, spell your last name, and give your address. After we have called upon the speakers who have already registered, we will call on others who have signed the speaker sheet posted in the lobby in the order in which they signed up. After that, we will take any remaining members of the public who wish to speak. I'd like to call upon Suzanne Conley to speak first. One more time, Suzanne had pre-registered initially. Suzanne Conley, are you here? Or on Zoom? All right, we are going to move on to the next pre-registered individual, Ms. Sandy Jones. Please come on down. Please state your name and your address. And remember to speak slowly and clearly.
My name is Sandy Jones, Jones. My address is 98 Park Avenue in Centerville, Mass. This is my third time participating in an EFSB hearing. And although I realize you have a job to do, I ask you to be fair and to listen to the citizens in the room and to listen to their complaints. What I find is that with these energy projects, they've been basically pushed through, and that in the town has been basically left out of the local zoning and permitting. During the December EFSB hearing, our town manager, Mark Ells, and Charlie McLaughlin was present with all of you. And although they cannot speak out because of the community host agreement, Mark Ells' exact words were, "Vineyard win, lessons learned. Our town of Barnstable, we incurred costs from our highway department, our engineering department, our D.P.U, communications and police. Because of the project was unorganized, the contractors did not systematically work within the scope of the project, and it actually ended up costing the town money." So with the Chute Fly Hill Road access road, it's actually 2 parcels, and it was acquired by the Cape Cod Commission. What I ask of you is that public safety be one of your main concerns. To protect the neighbors, it's in a wellhead protection area. Below it is an active cranberry bog, as well as Lake Waquaket. Some of you were on the EFSB Mid-Cape Reliability Project, and I can tell you that when I was out door knocking in November, the Eversource had our permit what they were allowed to work Monday through Friday and Saturdays allowed. With the EFSB hearing for Park City Wind in December, our town manager negotiated along with Attorney McLaughlin that the hours for the project would be Monday through Friday. I ask you to mirror those hours. When I was outdoor knocking, just to give you an idea where the Oak Street location is, I was speaking to a woman, her husband works nights, and his vehicle's coming out of the woods at 4:30 in November. It's unnerving. So I ask you to follow the hours that you approved for the Park City Wind project. Another one, unfortunately, with the Mid-Cape Reliability Project, there was some splicing going on, and the bangs could be heard from Dennis up to Harwich. I reached out to Presiding Officer Sharkey, but the community wasn't notified. The residents were not notified, and there was a flurry of 911 calls. So I ask either you have a representative that informs the residents, somehow the community, the police, it's advertised, that everyone's aware of that, so we're not overloading the 911 calls. And then lastly, I just ask you to include the residents in the equation, that at the end of the day, everyone's looking out for who's going to protect their properties, their drinking water, the liability. Liability is an issue because of if these bonds are not required, then who is responsible? Vineyard Wind had $1.5 million in liens placed against them for change orders with contractors. They were all allowed to take $900,000 off the bond, but there's still $400,000 or $500,000 outstanding. And that's with the contractor. So why would our town not be allowed to have bonds to secure finances in the event of damage or whatnot. Thank you very much for letting me speak tonight.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Jones. Mr. Carroll, I believe you had also signed up. Again, state your name, your address. I assume you have additional comments, right? All right, thank you.
It's Clifford Carroll, Carroll, and I live in West Barnstable. You all set? I have quite a few comments, but I'll keep them, and I do plan on filing a very detailed report before the, I believe it was July 3rd deadline. Okay. Before I start, I'm not quite sure, but is there any way I could see a show of hands of who was actually at the EFSB hearing at the Cape Cod Community College last fall? Not from the crowd, but from the board itself and maybe the chairman. I'm not sure if he was there or not.
Mr. Carroll, I'll also make one clarification. We are here tonight as the
Sure.
Department of Public Utilities. This is not the EFSB siting board.
Okay.
I just want to make that clarification. We are here as the Department of Public Utilities.
Okay, so if I could get one more clarification then before I go into my comments. Patrick said that there's already been a override of this particular piece of land. If that was the case, why are we here? And I don't believe this piece of land was in the EFSB override that took place prior to that. Is that correct?
Thank you. There was not a zoning override on 6 Shoot Flying Hill Road by the EFSB. That's why the company is.
So our state rep had asked if why hasn't it gone through the local zoning? And the answer was that it already got overridden, but it actually hasn't. In other words, if this isn't granted, the override, they do have to go through local zoning. Is that correct on this particular 1 acre parcel?
If we were not to grant the zoning exemptions, then
Yes.
if the company wanted to build on the land, they would need to comply with zoning. That is correct.
They will
But they have,
Is
they
that correct?
would.
Yeah.
What they have asked for us is for an exemption from the local zoning for 6 Shoot Flying Hill.
Right.
And that's
So
why we
why
have-
is this different from the EFSB override that took place on the abutting parcel? Why is it DPU and not EFSB right now?
The 6 Shoot Flying Hill Road parcel was not included in the original noticed
Right.
portion of it. So therefore, because notice was not provided in the original East Wind Connect, or in the original Wind Connector case for
Right.
the EFSB docket, it is now being presented as a zoning exemption in this matter because it was not noticed, in order to make sure that the public has the opportunity to make comments about this specific parcel.
And then it goes from here to the EFSB to complete the override? Is that it?
The EFSB is not specifically part of this request. This request is for zoning exemptions through the Department of Public Utilities.
Okay.
So this is a DPU docketed case.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. The reason I asked how many folks were here before, I don't know if it's possible to put up slide number 2 of that presentation that actually showed this location. It would make it a lot easier to explain everything here. And while he's doing that, some of you were at the FSB hearing at Community College, I believe, though, right? You were, I believe you were, or the other gentleman, or both were, right? Yeah. So do you sit on both boards?
I don't sit on any board. I'm just the presiding officer.
So are you on DPU and EFSB?
So just for clarification, we are staff to both the DPU for the commissioners as well as to the EFSB board itself.
Excellent.
We're not I am not a member of the board and I am not a commissioner for the DPU.
Okay. I guess that's convenient. Thank you. That wasn't the slide I was looking for. It was slide number 2, which shows the plot plan with the parcel and the road coming in. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Should I wait for him to come back?
No, you can proceed forward with your comment.
All right, thank you. During the presentation, Mr. Johnson stated that there's no water resources on this parcel. This entire site sits in the middle of an aquifer protection zone and a zone of wellheads or wellhead protection zone. It is in 2 different water resource areas. If they weren't doing their override, which would include, I believe they're trying to avoid the local conservation also, you would find out that at the bottom of that purple triangle right there is Lake Quaquaquet. It's almost about 600 feet from the bottom corner of that purple. If you move that slide up, that's the major water source of our freshwater and sole source aquifer. This entire site sits over an aquifer protection zone and a wellhead protection zone. Massachusetts DEP has refused to look at that. There was a EFSB hearing, this is why I asked, just about a month ago, where during the town of Barnstable's conversation on the reliability project, town councilor or the town attorney for Barnstable, during that discussion, it was talked about them doing a mapping of where the oil from this project would go and how it would affect the wellheads, what direction it would go and how it would affect our aquifer. No one ever followed up on that. No one has ever addressed this aquifer protection zone or the well zone. You just heard and that's another question, by the way, but I'll get to that in a second. But they have never addressed what is going to happen in the event that there are 125,000 gallons of dielectric oil in that. I'm bringing this up. I know we're talking about the 1 acre parcel, but according to everything, every single drop of oil, every single drop of SF6 gas, all those pollutants are going to have to travel across this parcel of land that is here. The next question is, and again, aquifer protection well zone, the state of Massachusetts has an aquifer protection officer. They've never even been contacted or asked to look at this. It's absolutely incredible that about 40,000 homes come off of this well area. The engineer, there's been statements being made in the public about we're already powering 30,000 houses. These things haven't even been turning for 3/4 of the time since they've been put up. The governor is saying 30,000 homes. I'd like to ask the engineer what the output of this thing has been, because how do you make electricity without turning? The next thing, minimum yard, you're going to get that. The anti-nuisance claim, that should be known as the lighted up like Fenway Park variance. They're putting 68-foot tall light towers on this project. This is one of the highest points of land, whether they drop it 10 feet or not. The whole entire backside, again, Mr. Johnson talks about the view from on the north of this, on the other side of the Mid-Cape Highway at the Burger King exit. There are thousands of homes that will be looking at this lit up at nighttime on one of the highest points of land in Centerville. The direction south, this sits on a bowl, and the entire thing has the coastline of Wequaquet Lake looking up at that hill. This road, I'd like to know if it's going to be lit, if there are any cables going on it, whether or not they're going to clear another 40,000 square feet of trees, the way they're going to clear roughly 400,000 square feet of trees there. I'd like, and he said, oh yeah, well, maybe we will take care of the road and maybe we will bond it. Well, one of the variances they're going for is to eliminate the town of Barnstable's right to calculate a bond for future loss. And that includes not only the road, that this variance that you're looking at overriding is our right to have protection against well water pollution, the cleanup, the cost to the local homeowners. Avangrid, and that was my question. Who are we dealing with here? Started with Avangrid, went to Park City, going to Commonwealth Wind. Now Avangrid supposedly has been 100% bought out by Iberdrola out of Spain. Who is sitting in this room? Who is making the promises to us? In addition to that, so you have the performance bonds. On the first project that EFSB or D.P.U, whichever hat you're wearing tonight, approved here with the town of Barnstable, they were supposed to give us an emergency spill plan. They were also supposed to give us protections and insurance policies, protecting us against spills in that transformer substation that's already been built. We already have found out that they haven't provided that. They're supposedly supplying electricity to 30,000 homes through that same company. They haven't given us emergency spill plan. They haven't given us the proper insurance as being the town of Barnstable. Last time we were at the hearing, we asked the spokesman, the engineer for Avangrid or Eversource, or again, whoever is in this room, whoever this project is, when was the last time they had a transformer fire? Oh, well, they couldn't remember when they had one. Well, their memory should be fixed now because only 2 weeks ago, we had a massive transformer fire right up the street from the Avangrid transformer in our well fields from a solar farm. 30,000 Cape Cod residents lost their power roughly 2 weeks ago on a transformer substation that was up and over our well fields. Occupancy, yeah, they're building this in a residential zone. And again, I point to this, they try to send us off to the right on the street. If you look, and I would really appreciate it if you do look, along the left side of this purple square, that's a residential home that's about 50 feet from the edge of this project. You have another residential home on the back corner of it. That homeowner is suing this person right now, this company, who again, whoever they are, right now for a noise violation, which is under your nuisance claim, which they're looking to override so they don't have to adhere to it. They also, in all their presentations, including the previous one that you approved, they claimed that there was going to be transformers, magical transformers that don't exist at this time. They were going to be designed and built to meet certain sound decibels. Well, here we are about a year or two later. Where's the design? Have those been built? Where's the specifications? Do they even exist? Another, and I'll leave it at this, I'll get into my written comments. 45,000 pounds of SF6 gas. State of California has banned the use of it. EPA has it as the highest rated pollutant. It is 23,000 times more potent than CO2 to our atmosphere. When it's released, it stays in the atmosphere for 3,000 years. This is off EPA's website. They never address the SF6 gas. When it does catch on fire or explodes, it sucks the oxygen out of the surrounding area. No emergency spill plan on the transformer substation they already built. They're already operating. No one is enforcing it. Where is the enforcement? You're going to waive all of our rights as a town. You're going to wipe out about 11 different things. Who is going to guarantee that we're protected? When you give them the key to the Golden Gate here, they build all this crap, then they don't protect anybody. They don't insure anybody. They don't even tell us how we're supposed to put it out. They haven't supplied that emergency plan on the first project, and now they're coming down the street with the second one, headed to the third. We really need to slow it down, make them at least adhere to the first agreement, and then we need to get this research done because this is just plain wrong. Thank you very much for your time.
Next, we're going to move on to Chris Pawicki. Chris, please come on down. And I apologize if I butchered your name. Again, please state your name, your address, and make sure to speak slowly and clearly for the stenographer.
Hi, Chris Pawicki, Powicki. I'm from Brewster, Massachusetts. I appreciate D.P.U. making the trip down here tonight. Thank you very much. I would like to suggest that this should be a very pro forma process. This is exactly the type of project for which comprehensive zoning exceptions were designed by the legislature. The legislature created this to facilitate the development of energy projects that meet a public need, and this project certainly meets the public need. I would encourage the department to focus very narrowly on the single parcel that's in front of you. I appreciate the comments made by previous commenters with issues they have with other previously decided decisions. This is about just a single parcel and just a single access road. It's not about all the other stuff that has been litigated already. The majority of the facilities around this parcel have already been approved. The submarine cable is approved, the cable landing is approved, the underground cable run is approved, the substation is approved, the tie line is approved. This is solely about the access road. I understand that town and citizens may have issues with previous decisions, and those should be taken up in a different forum than this one. This forum is purely about the access road. The town of Barnstable has already signed on through its host community agreement to allow this to go forward. I would encourage the Department of Public Utilities to respect what the host community has already agreed to, and to allow this zoning exemption, comprehensive zoning exception, to go forward. Again, this is a very limited proceeding. It should be executed expeditiously, and this project should be allowed to go forward, including with the access road on this new parcel. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I'm going to ask that members of the audience, please hold your statements and comments. Everyone is given the opportunity to present their statement, and we'll be moving on. Next commenter, Ellen Nosal. Nosal. Ellen?
My name is Ellen Nosal, E-L-L-E-N, N-O-S-A-L. I live at 73 White Oak Trail, Centerville, Mass. I will make some comments and I will end with a question. I wish to publicly express my objection to every aspect of Park City Wind, New England Wind 1 project, and to the petition presented tonight in particular. When in the dark of a pandemic and out of view of its residents, the town of Barnstable handed over virtually all authority of this project to unelected employees of the Commonwealth and to Avangrid Renewables, it gave away our local power over zoning regulations. Tonight, residents will try to prevail to maintain our local zoning ordinances and power. Park City Wind, New England Wind 1, or whatever the company is calling itself, is not at this time able to proceed with its proposed wind energy project. It does not have a power purchase agreement from the state. Any use of Craigville Beach other than for recreation and public employment is forbidden by protections provided by Article 97 of Commonwealth law. Any discussions of individual or comprehensive zoning exemptions are premature, yet here we are. At tonight's hearing, Avangrid petitions the proposed zoning exemptions that will facilitate the access road where it desires it to be. The fact that this aspect of the construction was not included in the initial petition demonstrates negligence on the part of the company and the government. This is what happens when authorities blindly allow such ventures. The language of the petition states that this access road will allow for a better placement of the substation. Any small effort such as this to lessen the impact on the residents who find themselves literally in the backyard of this enormous project will not change the substantial risk to environmental and human health, including the risk of pollution of our sole source aquifer on which it is set to be placed. Frashing zoning regulations will do nothing to change the big picture, and that picture is bleak. I certainly hope that Six Shoot Flying Hill Road can accommodate all the fire trucks necessary to address catastrophic disasters. By designating the company as a public service corporation, the state misses the point that Avangrid Renewables is a limited liability for-profit corporation whose sole purpose is to make money with limited liability for any consequences. Because the Cape Reliability Project is nearly complete, the local grid will be improved. The New England Wind Connector only serves to offload most, if not all, of the energy harvested from the wind by way of our local beaches and village roads. The Energy Facility Siting Board describes the New England Wind Connector as, quote, reasonably necessary for the public convenience or welfare, end quote. The convenience and welfare for the people of Barnstable and Cape Cod is not and never has been considered in that statement. I will end with a question, and I would like to have someone explain to me why I would want the substation to be 10 feet lower and therefore 10 feet closer to our sole source aquifer.
The company like to respond regarding the 10 feet.
Thank you so much for the question. I'm happy to start, and if you have anything to add, the primary benefit of lowering the elevation or the grade of the substation would be to reduce visual impacts from Shoot Flying Hill Road, basically at the front of the site, and also, as Cliff was mentioning, farther down the other south on Shoot Flying Hill Road. If you're from the power lines looking towards, it would have a comprehensive benefit of reducing sightline impacts and visual impacts to the community. Anything else, Ken? Okay, thank you.
Basically to hide it a little better, I guess. Thank you.
Our next commenter is Heather Swenson. Heather, if you could come on down, please state your name, spell it, and then provide your address.
Good evening. It's Heather Swenson, Swenson. I'm at 110 Nye Neck Road East in Centerville. Once again, from the company, there's not a comment made about our sole source aquifer tonight. They never want to address it. As these meetings and months drag on with what appears to be no movement towards protecting our drinking water, it is clear to us concerned citizens of Barnstable that the state, the board, these people clearly are not interested in protecting us. Our wellhead locations and the aquifer in the lake have not moved. There should have been immediate questions from the town and the state to the potential dangers. Why are you jamming this through and disregarding our town zoning? The rhetoric seems to have turned to the state and federal government are mandating what will happen in our town. That is not acceptable to us concerned taxpayers. A list of exemptions read off, all disregarding zoning that residents, those of us who live here, have to abide by. This is a road full of residences. He spoke that the land slopes to the south. There's a cranberry bog and 600-acre lake at the base of that land. Why is safe drinking water being disregarded to jam through the picture of green plan? Everybody asks, what are the chances of an accident happening at that substation? What's the chances of an accident happening with trucks pulling out of that road? He wants them to be able to go left and right. These are all deep concerns that we have. It takes one small accident regarding leaks from these substations to affect us for years and decades to come. When an accident at a substation on Chute Flying Hill Road occurs, half a mile from my home, who's going to bring me fresh drinking water daily? Will I be expected to line up to collect bottled water at my D.P.U. or at the town hall? I can guarantee you they will not be bringing me fresh water. They're an LLC. They'll be long gone. And it certainly isn't going to be any of you that are making these decisions that are going to make sure I have fresh drinking water. What is my property going to be worth with this project looming over my home? What's my property going to be worth if I don't have fresh drinking water? Do you think I or anyone else is going to pay our state and local tax on the value of a home when I don't have fresh drinking water because the town and the state didn't fight to protect me when I had the chance? A transformer fire, let it burn. What's my air quality going to be? You sit on a board making a decision that in no way affects you. Stop and ask yourself, would you want to drink the water if there's a problem? Do you want to breathe the air when there's a fire from what they've created? These projects belong in a commercial area, not a residential neighborhood. You are right. You are correct. I am a NIMBY, not in my backyard. State and local officials need to step up and act on behalf of the concerned citizens. We can't have a state rep show up and then say he's got nothing to say. Nothing to say. He's just here to listen. It is insane to me that we are even still having these conversations. Our water is our first priority, period. You people have frustrated me beyond words. Thank you.
I'd also ask that you please hold your applause so that we have time to get to everyone who signed up here tonight. I do want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to be heard. We're going to move on to Christian Swenson.
Christian Swenson, 110 Knives Neck Road East, Centerville, Mass. My wife pretty much summed it up for me. There was a lot of conversations around the kitchen table about this. I had two kind of questions I'd like to get a little more answered on. In this host agreement, did it specifically allow for every variance requested? You presented a project that has a lifetime, a duration of what, 10, 15 years to build out. And a few years ago, you went to the town and said, oh, give us a host agreement. Everything we ask for, you're going to give us. We're going to override you. Was that in the host agreement? Does the town is being completely steamrollered with every decision? The town doesn't seem to have any say in what's going on. The state has subjugated us in their decision-making process. How is that right? How is that fair? That is not a democracy in action. So my question really simply is, who is representing us? And to the comment of everyone else, Mr. Carroll, sole source aquifer. If we stop this access road, which is what we're here to talk about tonight, if we can stop this, does this give us a chance to stop something else that's going to hurt our aquifer? If there's no drinking water, you have no place to live. There's no value in the Cape. There's no value in our houses. There's no property taxes. That's really the concern. Who's responsible when this hits the fan? Answer? I'd like it on record because every time we ask a question, you folks don't give us an answer because you don't want to be on record. Correct? If you make no comment, you got no comment. I need a comment from you. Who's responsible when this whole project goes south?
Would the company like an opportunity to respond?
Well, exactly.
Yeah, Christian, thank you so much for the question. So the entity developing the
You're
project,
probably
Parks.
not thanking me.
No, absolutely. No, I appreciate your engagement. So
Okay.
the company behind this project, Park City Wind LLC, is responsible. It's the proponent. It's the entity seeking the permits, seeking to build the project, taking out loans to build the project. So, and Park City Wind LLC is a subsidiary of Avangrid Renewables.
So when there's a problem, we get in line behind Avangrid and the LLC that you've sold it to, which is now we're going to be taken to court for billions of dollars in damages, which is now going to belong to another company. And we were going to get absolutely zero satisfaction from any of this. That's what's going to happen. And I think you as an attorney know that's exactly what's happened. And that's the strategy that you're using. You'll just keep sue everyone. The man with the deepest pockets pays, right?
I think Christian deferred to the hearing officer. I think
Right.
this is a conversation you and I could have offline in a separate setting.
I just want to know who's responsible. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to move on to. No. We're going to move on to Ann Schultz or Ann Schulte. Ann, come on down. Please state your name, spell your last name, and your address for the record.
Good evening. Ann Schulte, A-N-N-E, S as in Sam, C-H-U-L-T-E, 52 Fox Run, Centerville. Yeah. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I, along with many of my friends and neighbors in the audience tonight, wish to go on record as opposing the granting of the individual and comprehensive zoning exemptions that will allow the Park City Wind or New England Wind 1, or whatever their name du jour is, their substation to be built directly over Lake Woquacket, above Lake Woquacket, and on top of our sole source aquifer, and ask that you deny their request. My husband and I have been supporters of both Barnstable Speaks and Save Greater Dowses Beach since their inception, and have paid attention and watched these projects progress the past few years. We have attended countless Avangrid presentations, town council meetings, the EFSB meeting at the community college, and listened to the December EFSB 2023 hearing. We have submitted multiple written comments to the EFSB docket for this project, all of which have gone unresponded to and ignored. We do not oppose wind projects and clean energy. We do oppose the landing on our pristine recreational beaches and the running of cables through our cherished historic villages, particularly when there are other options and locations available. It's a well-established fact that these wind turbines have a lifespan of roughly 20 years. The potential damage to our drinking water and our sole source aquifer caused by a catastrophic accident will last forever. In addition to ourselves, we have children and grandchildren who will be affected by the risks associated with contaminated drinking water caused by such a catastrophic accident at a substation. Please think of their generations as well. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Next, we will have Roberta Mosh. And I'm sorry if I messed your last name up.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here, because we all do care about our environment, our home. My name is Roberta Mauch, M-A-U-C-H. I live at 80 Greenwood in Hyannis, Massachusetts. I wished I had taken the time to make notes, but I've had some family crisis that's been disturbing me. I'm very disturbed. I, unlike others here, am very much against ocean wind farm. I have been from the beginning. When they first came, I was the only one at the Avangard meetings, but at the time it was called Park City, that was opposed. I said, well, where is everyone else opposing this? Don't they realize how dangerous this is? But, so I guess I want to start by saying I request the D.P.U deny zoning exemptions. Those zonings are in place to protect our safety. I'd like to see this project slow down. There's a lot of lies being sold to us. And I want to understand what is pushing this. And I'm thinking we're living in a time, think about this, artificial intelligence, data centers. These data centers are an enormous drain on our power. I'm in my 70s, so I remember when conservation of energy was an important thing to keep our planet safe. That has been thrown out the window because the whole world is addicted to artificial intelligence, to data, to their cell phones, to it's an enormous drain on electricity. It's an enormous drain on our water, mining. It's being sold to us as green power. And we know downright well, it's a big lie. Look at what's happening in our ocean. Look at what they need to do. Scrape the bottom of the ocean, pour bleach into the ocean, kill the seeds of our food, our fish, everything. We're sacrificing all of this for what? So that we can have the convenience of playing with our phone and getting an answer quickly? Really, are we that insane? Insanely addicted to materialism that we have to lie to ourselves that this is for our betterment? It is not. I want to slow this project down. First of all, that parcel of property, why are you adding another property to it? And why was this not, why was it so hard? We would have filled this audience if everybody was made aware of what's going on here, but it was kind of slipped under, oh, all we have to do, the minimal of putting something in the library. Everybody's busy with inflation, trying to put food on their table. I'm at a point where I'm close to being to retire. I can't afford these electric bills that you're throwing at us. Avangard, Ibidola, Eversource. What about that? I called Eversource after that fire went out. My lights went out. I was like, oh heck, what happened? I looked at the, recent before that out in California, there was a huge, enormous substation fire that weeks and weeks and weeks it took to put out because it's so dangerous. It's so toxic to the environment. Our husbands, our children are fighting the fires that you're putting in our backyard. This is insanity. Why do we need this? So that we can have more data centers to support artificial intelligence, so that Microsoft, Amazon, Google can have more power over us, enslave us? Why? This is enslaving. more and more feeling like I'm living in a world of socialism that doesn't care about children, elderly. Shame on us. Shame on us for allowing this to go through just for money in somebody's pocket. I don't know what else to say. It's disgusting. Thank you.
So that concludes our pre-registered commenters. I've also just been made aware that there was a set of keys that were found by D.P.U staff. They've been turned over to the officer that is here tonight. So if you are missing keys, please go to the officer. They're the one that have those at this time. So next, we were going to move on to speakers that signed up here tonight. First commenter that had signed up tonight was Joanne O'Connor. Please come up. Again, state your last name and your address for the record. Again, speak slowly and clearly for the stenographer.
My name is Joanne O'Connor, O''Connor. I live at 268 Main Street in Centerville, Massachusetts. Nearly 48 years, oh, sorry. Nearly 48 years ago, my parents, Dick and Lorraine O'Connor, fulfilled a lifelong dream by purchasing the 1856 country store on Main Street in Centerville. Mom's dream of becoming a shopkeeper was realized. Dad worked outside of the business full-time and was the chief maintenance officer for the store. He took this job very seriously and enjoyed every minute of it. Upon their passings, I and my 4 sisters took over the reins, hopefully meeting the standards set by our parents. Some or most of you, and clearly not you, but some in the audience, probably remember happy walks or bike rides to the penny candy store where Mom would carefully count your goodies and put them in a paper sack and send you on your way with a smile. She cherished those times. We also cherish the time we spend with our neighbors from near and far. The 1856 has been here since before the Civil War. Always the meeting place, a happy place, an important part of village life. Memories are made here. I recall more than once comforting a grieving parent after the loss of a child. Being in the store was a way of connecting to their child, knowing the happiness a visit could bring. These are powerful moments, and it is an honor to help. And now comes Park City Wind. Main Street has been chosen by the developer, the company, as the preferred route for the project. The alternate route has been approved by local authorities as well as the Main Street route. The alternate route would cost Avangrid around $8 million more than the chosen route, pennies to them. Avangrid also claims the turn through Aaron Crosby Park is at too much of an angle for it to be possible for them to use, when virtually the same angle was used on Strawberry Hill Road for the Vineyard Wind project. Why can't it be done again? Also, our colleagues in business and service on Main Street face the same challenges that we do. I'll leave you with this. Every time my parents turned onto Main Street in Centerville after a trip over the bridge, my dad would say, "This is the most beautiful place on earth," every time. Main Street in Centerville is important not only to those who live and work on it. Main Street is an historic gem in the town of Barnstable. We hope you agree and demand if this project must be landed on our beautiful Craigville Beach, rather than an appropriate industrial site, that the alternate route be chosen. And I know this doesn't go directly to the topic tonight, but we just need a chance to be in front of people who will hear us, because nobody's listening. Thank you for your time.
Next, we're going to have Chuck Tuttle. Chuck, please come up again.
Good evening. My name's Chuck Tuttle, T-U-T-T-L-E. I live at 8 Wilton Drive in Centerville. Thank you for being here. We should not be here tonight. Allowing 125 gallons of dielectric transformer oil over our single source water aquifer is inexcusable. Even with several other great cable landfall locations that are not recreational or residential neighborhoods. The windmill lease area immediately adjacent to Avangrid is making their industrial electricity landfall in New London, Connecticut, home of Electric Boat. What a great place to land industrial electricity. Why doesn't Avangrid bring power ashore at New London in an industrial area instead of recreational beaches? When I asked Avangrid's Ken Kimmel why they don't go to an industrial area like New London, he said, because we don't have the permits. Well, then they shouldn't be the contractor. A 30-year study found that leukemia rates increased 70% in children who lived within 640 feet of EMF sources. How do people stay 640 feet from 800 million watts of power buried 10 to 20 feet below the beach? A member of the public asked one of the project's senior consultants, how hot do the cables get? His answer, I don't know. Absolutely inexcusable. How can anybody, the EFSB, D.P.U, whoever, in good conscience, allow 800 million watts to be run through recreational and residential areas with so very many questions unanswered? Remember, Pilgrim Nuclear Power Plant maxed out at 690 million watts. Running 2 billion watts of energy under recreational and residential areas is dangerous, destructive, and unnecessary. Here tonight are about 50 members of the community. We learned about this meeting by accident. Somebody dropped some information off at the Centerville Library, our little library. That's how we learned about this. If we had proper public notice, this place would be full, just like it was in the fall when we had 700 people here. But it really doesn't matter how many voice their objections. The state will continue to roll over our community. Zoning exemptions is a perfect example. The politics of reaching arbitrary, unattainable, even capricious, non-carbon-based energy goals is too strong. Governor Maura Healey has stated as much. We can only hope that Iberdrola's increasingly weak financial condition will pave the way for them to cancel this unprofitable project or perhaps sell the project to a group with landfall rights in an industrial area. There is no reason why this project should have gotten this far beyond satisfying financial and political interests. This is an excellent example of government working against the people and against common sense. Thank you for allowing me to go on the record.
Next up, Andrew D. Reminder, Andrew, please state your name, spell your last name for the record, and your address.
My name is Andrew. I'm a lifelong resident of Marston's Mills. I'm 40 years old. I've lived here all my life. I've lost track of the number of such meetings like this where public comment has been requested. You want to know what the people think. You want feedback before you make a decision. The decision was made well before you ever had your first meeting. That's apparent. Construction was already underway in several locations, not the least of which, the last one of these meetings that was over at the Four Seas College, on that road down to Four Seas College from here, they had already begun construction, which meant the decision had already been made long before you ever requested our comment on it. Mentioned several different boards who have already given these folks here and their company approval. You know, who has not given their approval? We the people, the taxpayers. I'm one of them. You probably don't recognize me. I hold the unenviable office of taxpayer. Maybe take some time, do some research, maybe figure out what that is, because I'm still trying to figure out what the benefits are. Somebody in here wanted to know who's representing the people. Sir, your wife is. She's the best representative I've heard, and she's not even getting a salary. And I'd be happy to donate my check to her if it actually made a difference. You don't care what the hell these people have to say. If you did, this project would not have gotten this far. The number of concerns that have been listed could fill a friggin' phone book back when we actually had one of those. You might need to look that up too. It's this big thick ass thing, knocks people unconscious. It's about that thick. None of that matters. You want to put those stupid ass friggin' pinwheels out in the middle of the ocean. You don't care what wildlife gets killed in the process because you had to give them an allowance to do it, to kill X amount. That's never mentioned. People are telling you that Lake Wequaquet is right over there. That doesn't matter. Let me say something very clearly, and I want you to listen carefully. And I understand that your decision's already been made and that you're not really listening because you don't really care. You are paid to be here. Tell these son of a bitches, no. Do not interrupt me.
I'm going to ask as a public forum that you mind language that you're using.
I will use
that
the
is all
language
I
I see fit, within reason. This is being respectful. I've lost track of the number of these meetings that I've been to where what we say does not matter. I'm going to make this as clear as I possibly can. I do not work for this company. I do not work for you. I do not work for him. I do not work for Kip Dig, and I sure as hell do not work for Maura Haley. I do not give a flying bleep what the hell her climate goals are. I am a taxpayer, damn it. I'm paying for them. I'm paying for you. I'm paying for him. I'm paying for that guy in the back, and nobody is listening to us. We do not want this. We do not need this. And it is not our goals. If you cared what we thought, you would have come to us and asked us if we wanted it to begin with. Nobody did. And you've been to these meetings too. You've seen how many times people have showed up and told you, these are our concerns. This is what we're worried about. And nobody listened. Do not give them that exemption. And if you do, if you give them a pass on this anyways and push it through because somebody told you to, then I recommend that the taxpayers get together and immediately revoke the tax revenues to the town and to the state. And you can fund it yourself. And if it takes we, the taxpayers, taking a page out of those stupid twits at the colleges and physically blockading the project, then maybe that's what we need to do before you start listening to us. We do not want this. We do not need it. And we're not going to benefit from it. The only people that are going to benefit from this are wearing a suit and either work for that company or they are getting paid off the taxpayer's salary. And I've had enough of the bullshit. Now, if you find that offensive or upsetting or not good decorum, well, then you probably should have listened from day one. We do not want this. We do not need it. Is there another way in which I can make it more clear that I haven't already? Yes? No? Have you gotten the message? Do you understand these concerns as I have explained them to you, as they have explained them to you?
I appreciate your comments. Do you have
That's
any?
not what I asked you.
Do you have anything
That's not
further?
what I asked you. I asked you, do you understand? Yes or no? And I didn't ask you, I asked him. Do you understand?
As I indicated, I appreciate your comments.
I'm not asking you.
Do you
to
have any
indicate, I'm
additional
asking you
comments?
yes or no. Do you understand?
Do you have any additional
Do
comments?
you understand? We can move along very quickly if you answer me yes or no.
We're going to move on.
No,
So
you're
if-
going to answer my question. And you need to start answering their questions. And by the way, one other thing. They're right. We all found out about this bullshit last second. Either at the library or in passing on the radio, mentioned it only once. And the reason you did that is because you didn't want anybody else like me showing up and saying, we don't want this shit. And you can sit there and stare at me with your smug ass expression all you want, because you know the game and I know the game. No, 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 no. Everybody get it? Yes? No?
Thank you for your comments, Mr. D. We're going to move
They're
on.
not comments.
We're going to move on. We have additional people that
You
have
are
signed up to
done.
speak.
That's why we're here.
Thank you. Peter Hansen. Peter, come on down. Again, please state your name, spell your last name, and your address for the record.
Good evening, Peter Hansen, Hansen, 29 Yall Road, Osterville. First, I'd like to thank everyone that spoke ahead of me tonight. A lot of passion here, especially the last gentleman. That's what's going on. It's like we want to know the disclosure. We want to know what's going on in our community. I've been a water commissioner for 18 years. And it has been stated here, and I won't repeat it. Cliff mentioned it, Sandy mentioned it, Kristen mentioned it. The sole source aquifer, the wellhead protection zones, there's nothing from the state. It's like no one's addressing this. I always think of Flint, Michigan. What do you think when you think of Flint, Michigan? Oh yeah, they used to have good water. This is something, again, as a water commissioner, we're always looking to protect our wellheads. We're looking to, in the future, because our water is our main resource for the Cape, for our drinking water. And the fact that this has gotten to the point where it has, these substations that they want to do on what's being proposed tonight, to me is totally insane. Another thing that I've asked for many times, I've been against this project from day one. The substations, they're bringing the cables into Dowson's Beach, which is total insanity. I've asked Patrick Johnson many times, let's have a rendering of the substations, what they're gonna look like. You never get that. Why? Because they don't want you to see what these things are gonna be looking like as you drive by. Again, you have to listen to the people tonight, everyone that spoke. This is something that should have never gotten to this point. Again, why wasn't this advertised either on the radio or a month ahead of time? I just found out about this morning. Why? I want an answer from the board. Why was this not advertised? Why was this not projected out 2 weeks ago so more people would be here, not just the 25 or 50 that keep showing up to try to track down what Avangrid's up to next. I appreciate your time, and you have to listen to what everyone here is saying tonight. You really have to. And if this is a done deal, it's going to come back to haunt you. Thank you.
Next up, we'll hear comments from Gordon Starr. All set. Then we will move on to Grove Harris. Grove.
Good evening. My name is Grove Harris. I live at 95 Fifth Avenue over in West Hyannisport. This is a really intense meeting, and one of the things I would like to know is I would like to know the height of the proposed building, the infrastructure that's going to be built, because I understood the 10 feet down. That makes some sense to me, as long as the aquifer obviously is protected similarly as if it was left at its current level. But I am interested in just seeing what is going to be visible. One of the ideas that I brought to the town council, because I feel that what's happening here is this country is trying to move off of fossil fuels, both oil and gas and coal. And the entire country is trying to shift to a different kind of energy. And we have one of the biggest, best in the world companies that is invested in making this kind of sustainable energy, and they are here doing investment all up and down the coast. It's kind of terrifying. I am used to a corporate structure where we have been lied to. Fossil fuel companies have lied up the yin yang for a lot of years. So that creates an additional layer of suspicion about corporate activity. So what we've got here is a kind of a public-private partnership, and those have internationally been shown to usually not work out as well for the public. Usually the private takes care of itself and the public is left picking up some difficulties. And I feel that that's what I'm hearing a lot from my neighbors. I'm not sure that's what's happening here, because I see the urgency of us needing to get on with getting power, because we all want and need the power to run our lives. I have a little house, and when my mom bought it in the early 60s, the bedroom had one outlet on either side of the bed for the two different lights that went. And guess what? I had to upgrade and required so many more outlets and power strips, because that's the kind of energy that we all consume. Nobody is talking here about reducing energy, and that is a key issue that we have to get around to. I too would be more comfortable if this project, which I think is going to be used in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and they are going to be getting a lot of the economic benefits of it. I too wish that it was going to be landing elsewhere. But if it's going to be landing here, which I think is going to be happening, I just want us to, for one thing, I would love to see a forum so that all of the concerns of my neighbors could be put in writing and could be rebutted clearly. Some of them I know are not applicable from my understanding, but the mutual understanding we need to get to is based on facts. My understanding is there's a lot of transformer stations already on the Cape, and that these new ones, the challenge is that they're going to be huge in scale, which is frightening, but that actually the technology is in place and tried and true. So I would like to know, if there were a lightning strike, what would happen? And we have been told that the plan for a fire is to let it burn. And that is an insufficient answer for the scale of what we're looking at. Because I would like to know if, would Route 6 melt with the fire? Should I leave the Cape? But what I understand about this meeting is that you are all here for a very restricted question, which is about what to do with this one parcel and whether there's going to be a road allowed. So I appreciate that we have used this forum to air a whole lot of issues. One of the things that I would like to see specifically on that parcel, and I mentioned this at a town council meeting, and forgive me for not knowing where to put ideas so that they might be effectively picked up. But I feel that this process, this very same process that is happening here, is going to happen up and down the coast. It's going to be happening in Maine. There's places coming off of P-Town. It's going to be repeating. So one of the things I suggested is that we do an eyes wide open educational center. And I would like to see an actual additional driveway and parking lot right in that little parcel, because we have to be able to look at the industrial impacts of our desires for energy. And we have to be able to teach ourselves more about the science and get more facts on the table and look at all these complexities. And what we have right here in Barnstable, we have Cape Cod Community College. It is totally proximate to that. And we have the Oceanographic Institute, so they can talk to us and more. We need an educational component, or else this dissatisfied sense of we're not getting information and we don't know who's looking after us. And it is hard when there's a lot of mergers and a lot of names and the responsibility, where would it go? So we need more transparency. And I would like to have that particular parcel have some leeway to build some kind of a center like that, because I would like to have everybody who comes on Cape say, wow, look what happened here. This is because we are all requiring so much energy. Let's get it together to reduce energy usage in this country so that we don't need as much industrialized energy. So I'm just asking that that be somewhere included in this process, which is going to be replicated all over. And thank you all for your service, and I appreciate everybody for being here tonight to speak their minds. Thank you.
And our next commenter is Martha Capret. I don't want to, it's hard to read. Martha? All right, that would actually conclude all those who had pre-registered as well as those had signed up before the meeting. We do have additional time. If there's anyone that had not signed up that would like to speak, please step up to the podium. Come on down. Again, I'll remind you, please state your name, spell your first and last name, as well as provide your address.
Hello, my name is Catherine Bean, B-E-A-N. I live, my address is P.O. Box 158 in Osterville. So, as you've heard, a few people say already tonight, your faces are familiar. I've been to the community college EFSB meeting. We had a huge meeting here, and the auditorium was full of people because we had advance notice that it was happening. And I've been to many Avangrid meetings. Patrick Johnson probably knows me well. I get where everyone is hoping to go. You know, the woman just spoke. We are using an inordinate amount of energy, blah, blah, blah. The most important thing that I take away from every one of these meetings is our water. We can live if we don't have food. We can't live without water. The aquifer, this substation, is so huge. If the water for the Cape is ruined because of a catastrophe that they say isn't going to happen, think of Love Canal. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Love Canal in upstate New York in the Buffalo area. Catastrophic. And the land is ruined forever. So I would like, we have in our back pocket Cliff Carroll. That man knows everything about water on the Cape. Why can't Governor Healy, representatives from your organizations, have a meeting with the people that they know what they're talking about here? And it's coursing through their veins. Sit down and have a steering committee so that you can at least be aware. I know the push, the drive is, electric power. And we're doing everything so fast without the consequences. A fire issue, we're going to burn it out. These poor people that live in the area and have put their hearts and souls into their homes, they've raised their families, they have children. Please deny this variance. Please take it back to Maura Healy. We need to listen to the people on the Cape because they know what they're talking about. They're not doing it to be a pain in the ass. They're doing it because they know better. And if you know better, you have to do better. I would also like, and Peter Hansen and I have kind of talked about this in a roundabout way, to get all the spotlights that we can to recreate what it's going to look like on Flying Hill Road, because your substation is going to be lit up 24 hours a day. Yeah, it is. And putting it in the ground, Patrick, that helps, so that the berm, you know, the dirt berm around this huge substation, in case there's a catastrophe, is contained. Would you want that in your backyard? You wouldn't. And I know we want better power. We want better substations. I live in a neighborhood, our transformer went down every probably 20 days when the wind was high. The country wants to move. Electric cars, the lithium batteries that are used in electric cars. We have little children mining for lithium, for the batteries that are put into electric cars. Electric cars, are they good? Yeah, they're great. If there's a fire, they get stuck in a snowstorm, they burn out. We have to slow it down. We have to be considered. We have to consider all the angles. You know, the good of it, the bad of it. But this is a peninsula. If we lose our water, all the people that live here leave. You know, let us not be the Love Canal of wind power. The dielectric, whatever that oil is, the terrible oil, it's like the PFAS in plastic. I worked for a mobile chemical company. Polypropylene resin, you know, now it's in everyone's bodies. We just had a major problem with it in Hyannis. You know, so we just have to back it down. Think about the water. Use the resources that we have here, i.e. Cliff Carroll. He knows his stuff. Take that back to Boston and say, we've got to take a step back. All right? And it brings up a lot of emotion. What's his name? Andrew D. I mean, that guy's ready to pop a gasket. If I were Heather, I think it is, who has the home, you know, right along that purple boundary line, how would you like this happening? But I would like you guys, I would like Avangrid, bring in the spotlights, and I want that place lit up, that whole 40 acres, and I want those lights on for 10 days. So that everyone that's coming, and I would like it done now. So everybody, all the tourists that come here, the people that have second homes, and the people that live here can look and see, because a picture says 1,000 words. Or a picture's worth 1,000 words. And where all those lights are, right, Cliff? If we did that, all those lights would show where our water source is. Yeah, 68 could you do that? I mean, you had a $48 million fine because you left your contract. Spend $1 million and do the lights for 30 days and pay to have them done now so that everyone can see it. And have Avangrid or Park City, whatever the LLC is, because that's another danger too. They're putting the money up front, they're doing the work, they're, you know, paying for all the other stuff that they're doing. Have them do that so it gets everybody's attention. And let it go national, let it go international. So people can see what the push, you know, by 2035 to get all of this done, what the ramifications are, because once we make the mistakes, we can't put them back in the bottle. They're out. And at a great cost to the residents and this, you know, the taxpayers of this part of the country, but we want to do it in other areas. Don't let us be, you know, I don't want to be the guinea pig. And this is you know, the Sierra Club, all the people that are, all the people that are in the environment to protect the environment have all been paid off. I mean, that's the general consensus. It might not be true, but big financial contributions, even to our Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce. And if the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce was under that light for 30 days, and I really would like you to do that. I would love for, you know, get it done by July 15th. What did you say, 68-foot lamps? Okay, and put them at the 4 quadrant, you know, the 4 corners of where this substation is going to be. That's what I would ask for. Thanks for being here. We're sorry. You know, you guys are hearing the same story, and that's the other thing that's really frustrating. Avangrid hasn't gotten back with any of the library meetings from the Osterville Library. The concerns that people raise, nothing, crickets. We come and go every meeting. All the same concerns are brought up. Cliff Carroll can he probably could talk for 3 hours about all of his concerns. No feedback. Nothing from the December ESB, whatever it is, board. Nothing from all the comments made at this Barnstable High School meeting, the Cape Cod College meeting. This meeting, there's no one here because no one knew about it. It was an accidental finding that this meeting was going to take place. So help us, please. And please deny this variance, because this is going around the outside of the rules to get something through the back door, which should not be allowed. That's why we have town government. And we do not have a community host agreement. You guys don't have an official contract, right? Do you? No, I'm asking the company. Do they have an official contract? Yes or no?
I'm just going to ask you if you have any additional further comments.
Okay, so no, wait, no.
I
get
believe
it,
that
I
we've
get it.
covered
No.
I believe that we've covered the host community agreement that was discussed earlier.
But you
If the
don't have
company
it
would
now.
like to provide any additional response regarding the host community agreement, they can do so.
Okay, and Patrick, I want you to answer from the company. Do you have an active contract with the state of Massachusetts for this project? Yeah, wait, let him answer, yes or no. I'm going to be like Alex Jackson at the.
Totally fine,
karaoke
Catherine.
choir. Yes
For
or
Park
no?
City Wind, we do not have a power purchase agreement for this project at this time.
Okay, so it just boggles my mind. How can we be doing this? How can we be issuing variances of our taxpayer land to a company that doesn't even have a valid contract? I mean, that's like asking you to pay the builder for a house that you don't have a contract for. Okay, so, I mean, is that a valid question? How can we be having them make all of these changes to our land, our towns, and they don't have a contract? We don't have any bonds. We have no protection from them.
And I appreciate your comment.
All right, I know.
Do you have any additional comments at this
I
time?
mean, and these guys on Zoom, are they going to be talking?
No, they're just part of the panel.
Okay, so I ask you, please, you know, and I know Ken Kimmel is in there somewhere hiding. We would like those lights, and we'd like them done by July 15th. I'd pay double time. I mean, we probably can get a lot of lights. All right, and get those up and have them for 30 days.
Right.
Put light.
Thank you
on
for
the
your
issue.
comment.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your comment. Are there any additional members of the audience that did not sign up or pre-register that have not yet commented that would like to present any additional comments to the panel? additional follow-up from earlier. Oh, yeah. Just say your name again for the record.
Stephen Exaros, Xiarhos, Massachusetts State Representative, but also a citizen of Barnstable. And I just wanted you as the siting board to really think about what these people are saying. These are the residents of Barnstable. They're concerned. They're concerned about not only tonight's issue, but the whole idea. You know, we've heard of industrializing the ocean. We've heard of running the cables under the beach. We've heard of running them through the community and then building these substations on top of our drinking water. That's been a big issue in this town for quite a while. So as a state representative, I will be submitting written testimony. As a citizen, I'd ask you to really think about the feelings and the concerns of these people, not only in the room, but in the largest town on Cape Cod. And invite you to come and look at the scene, maybe before you make your final decision, to visit the area, see it, put your feet on the ground, and feel what it's like to be a Cape Codder concerned about what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. I think we have one additional comment from our other representative.
Rep. Kip Diggs, Second Barnstable, DIGGS. I've already put written testimony about this EFSB. Our community has spoken, and I've already put in legislation about the EFSB having too much power. We should have been able to have locals be able to be on a board to be able to talk about this, so that you would have heard all the emergency things that their concerns were, so that we could work together on something to be done, but not to be able to have them be heard is why I signed on this. It should not be done this way. It should have been done with the community also having something to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Diggs. I'd like to thank everyone for participating tonight. I would like to remind you that comments and requests for participation are due by Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024. We welcome your input and questions. The information is important to our review of the proposed zoning petition. If you have questions relating to tonight's hearing or want a clarification on the department's review of this case or anything else related to this hearing, please email me at connorctar@mass.gov, CONNOR.C.TARR@mass.gov. I would like to thank everyone for their participation tonight and for the comments and questions that you offered regarding Park City Wind's zoning petition. Thank you very much and have a good evening. Ma'am, at this time, we are off the record. Any additional comments can be requested directly or can be made in writing.